Jane Torvill, Christopher Dean, I feel like I'm sitting down with Morecambe Wise or Lennon and McCartney, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, because I've never interviewed a double act before. But you don't do many in-depth interviews together like this. Why did you feel now was the time?
I think we thought it was an opportunity to tell our life story. People see us on the television more recently in Dancing on Ice, and you just see those little moments of training, but you don't really get to know us as people.
Chris, how long have you been together as a partnership?
Trying to work this out the other day, actually, and we have skated together for 38 years.
Have you really?
Yeah. I was trying to do math the other day. How far that is that we've skated, and I figured it's around 250,000 miles, so 10 times around the world.
Is that what it is?
Something like that.
When you work that out, I mean, how does that make you feel?
Old.
we were only 5 when we started skating.
Oh, right, I'm sorry. Jane's got the stage age.
Who's the boss? I mean, is there a boss?
I think Chris thinks he's the boss.
Chris, am I right thinking Jane's the boss then?
Can you see where her hand is right now?
Do you ever argue? I mean, have you ever had spectacular rows?
We've had arguments, but we have less and less nowadays, because we get to a point where we're perhaps a bit tense with each other, and we kind of go, oh, I can't be bothered. It'll take too long, too much energy.
It's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Well, it would be quite fun to treat you almost like a married couple and ask each of you about the other. So, Jane, let me start with you. How would you describe Chris to a stranger?
To a stranger? Like a blonde prince. He's very focused and intense, but he does have a sense of humour as well.
You can look for it really closely.
What's his single most annoying habit?
Oh, he always wants to be on time. And in fact, he's always early. So if it's 9 o'clock, he's there at 2:45, and then he's looking at his watch at 1:02, or he'll call me, where are you? It's not 9 yet. Once we were in New York, and we were meant to meet up at a certain time, and I was shopping, and I was late, and he called the police. He called, I was in the hospital. When he told me, he was furious.
What was going through your mind?
She shouldn't have been that late. It was New York. It's New York.
What did you think had happened to her?
Well, anything could have happened in New York, couldn't it? I mean, she could be mugged, she could be abducted, she could be...
Like Mr. and Mrs. this, isn't it? All right, Chris, let's turn to you. Describe Jane as if you were talking to a stranger about her.
I'm really close, by the way.
I know.
That's good, I can tell already.
The honest truth is, and it's going to sound cheesy, but in my eyes, she is everything I would want her to be. She is... She complements what I try to do.
For all intents and purposes, you could be a married couple, and yet you've been very happily married for 20 years. You've been married twice and divorced twice, and we'll come to that. But how... Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
It'll be a long night.
A lot of detail, yeah. We've got a long night ahead of us. But you won 7 British Championships, 4 European Championships, 4 World Championships, 5 World Professional Championships, gold and then bronze at the Olympics. Pretty amazing, right? You also, like all great sportsmen, you are a bit weird. So you have these weird little things that you do. Jane, you had...
Oh, God.
These.
I know, look at the state.
The lucky socks. Look at the state of these.
These were socks I wore in every major competition. And because we were performing night after night, I had to wear them. And they just disintegrated to the point where one of the wardrobe people put a new pair of socks inside. Because they said, can we throw them away? And I was like, no.
You still use it?
No. I'm over it now.
But
I was be holding them if I were you.
Chris, you had a slightly more, I wouldn't say embarrassing thing that you did. You used to wear a pair of lucky pants.
Yeah.
Did you always wear these lucky pants, or did you ever
For a long time.
fly commando on the ring?
No, you can't fly commando. When you stop, other things don't. So you have to wear something that keeps you contained.
You've always wondered, right?
No.
Let's take a look back at how you became the most celebrated ice dancing couple in history. Torvill and Dean, Britain's most famous and best-loved sporting double act.
Torvill and Dean are legendary. You say that name, you know them straight away.
Torvill and Dean, it goes together like salt and pepper.
Marks and Spencer's,
Bag and chips.
Stair and Rogers.
Batman and Robin, they come together as a package.
In the 4 decades Jane and Chris have been together, they've won the hearts of a nation with incredible skating, culminating in an Olympic gold medal.
They brought an artistry which hadn't been seen before.
They became the new benchmark. They took the best of both of them and created this team that was unbeatable.
More recently, they thrilled viewers with their hit entertainment series Dancing on Ice.
It's Ice Royalty, Jane Torvill and Christopher Dean.
For me, I know Torvill and Dean. I love that. I love the fact. Hi, Philip. It's Torvill and Dean.
But along the way, they've suffered their fair share of controversy. A surprise bronze at their comeback Olympics, marriage breakdowns, and the constant scrutiny of their own relationship.
If I had £1 for every time someone asked me if they were an actor, I would be a very, very rich man.
It looks like they are meant to be together.
It added to the mystery of it all.
I think I'm quite old now.
She's okay.
They must have. Did they? They must have.
Just good friends.
I don't know, but they must have.
It's a long way from the 1950s Nottinghamshire where Jane and Chris grew up. Chris was just 6 when his parents separated. A new stepmother, Betty, appeared in the family home, and his mother, Mavis, severed contact and moved away.
Always used to say it in a very blasé way that one day he came home from school and she wasn't there anymore. And in the kitchen was another lady.
I think it was very difficult for a young boy to understand and figure out where his mum had gone.
He needed something else to focus on.
The skating was a release to him because he was a very shy little boy. But on the ice he came alive.
And at the same rink was Jane Torvill, who'd been introduced to the sport on a school trip.
Our teacher, Mrs Fitzsimmons, organised the skating trip, and that was it. Jane really got the bug. She's just a natural. You just see something and it stands out. She stood out.
You always could tell that they both got talent in a different way. Chris had got the flair and Jane was always the technician.
Jane and Chris became ice dancing partners.
Didn't take long before tongues were going, this could be something very exciting, and put British ice dancing back where it belonged.
Torvill and Dean's natural flair and hard work took them to British, European and then world domination. And after years spent apart from her son, Chris's mother Mavis came to see him skate.
It wasn't until they were competing in the British that I was aware that Betty wasn't Chris's real mum. And it was by chance when his real mum came to the championship. And my job was to keep her away so it wouldn't affect the skating.
Chris didn't really want to tell his stepmom that he was back in contact with his real mum because he knew that that would upset her.
Eventually, his own feelings got put aside.
Chris would have liked it to have all been happy and them to have met and got on very, very well, but that just would never have happened.
Very complicated thing for a young boy to have to deal with. One day your mother's there, you had a very good relationship with her. The next she's gone, and you have a stepmom come in. What are your recollections?
I was 6 at the time, I think. One day, Mum said that she was leaving, and then I remember her leaving the house. Saw her going out with a case, and a couple of hours later, Betty arrived.
Literally, 2 hours later.
I'd known Betty because the couples had been friends.
There you had these 2 couples who were friends, and Betty left her husband to go and live with your dad, and your mum leaves. You had no contact then with your mother for a long time?
Not for the longest time, no. And nothing was said.
Your father never tried to explain it?
We've never had a conversation.